What's up, game players? How are you guys doing? I want to welcome each and every last one of you guys to the Analog Circle podcast, episode number 76. I'm your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and as always, I want to first thank every last one of you guys for coming out to spend a little bit of time with me to talk about this gaming culture. Now, before we get into all of the news and all of that great stuff, I want to let you guys know that you can listen to some previously recorded podcasts of the show over on Stitcher, iTunes, Audio Mac, and Google Play, actually. Definitely go over there, check it out, my man or woman, and have a great time with that. Also, if you guys want to interact with the show, you want to ask questions, or you want to leave your feedback, you can do that two ways. You can either call in at 443-261-4607, or you can leave an email at the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. Guys, I want to just jump right into it, man. I want to get into my favorite part of the podcast. And of course, if you've been listening to the show for quite some time, you guys know that it's always the feedback section. So let's go ahead and get into, of course, the VIP of this section who keeps it alive every single week, Mr. Cory Clark. Now, last week I was asking you guys the question, has Digital Foundry, have they lost a little bit of credit? Are they still a credible source? That was the question I was asking. Well, Mr. Cory Clark writes in, and let's get into it. Now, the name of his email is, "We have no idea what is behind door number 3. Here we go. He says, "I want to pip up with regards to your statement of Sony saying," and I quote, "it was never about power," end of quote. That was all they were crowing about with the cell processor and the PS3. That was all they crowed about when the PS4 had, quote unquote, faster RAM than the Xbox One. They will always move the goalpost. Nintendo will do it. We will do it. Xbox will do it. Everybody will do that. They brag about how many units they sell, but nobody gives a clear number of how many copies of a game they have shipped and sold. If Sony is doing so well, why were they getting ready to shut down the online mode for their killer Gravity Falls 2? End of quote. Game less than a year after it came out. It seems to my eyes that they are putting up a wall of numbers and being like, "Look at this. Do not look at the man behind the curtain." The old way was licensing out your platform makes the money. Having tons of games sold makes the money. It has always been clear that Xbox moves more games, and they are clearly not hurting for that scratch. But then they ain't being transparent either. And from the news, Nintendo is giving both of the big kids quite the bloody nose. Mr. Cory Clark, as I say every week, and you guys will have to excuse me, my voice is a little hoarse, slightly under the weather, but hey, I'm still here, baby. I'm here. But Cody, I want to thank you as always, brother. You always give me these great emails to read on the podcast. Like I said, it keeps this section of the podcast alive. Keeps it with a pulse, brother. I have to say, though, you're right. A lot of the time, that goalpost always gets moved. It is very true. A lot of the time, when, Sony was out there with the 1080p, Microsoft had 900p, and it was, Microsoft is doing so horrible. It's the worst thing ever. Can you see the difference? Look at the extra blades of grass on the PlayStation 4. Look at the extra cloud in the air on the PS4 version versus having 10 clouds on the PS4 and 9 clouds on the Xbox One version. I mean, they made such a huge stink about this. The media, all of the different YouTubers out there, the internet, I mean, everybody made the 900p versus 1080p thing seem like it was a gigantic difference. And then you go into what we're up against now, or I should say what Sony is up against now, being the Xbox One X, that is literally running games at 4K. 4K. And the PlayStation 4 is running them at, some versions at 1440. 1440, man. And you mean to tell me nobody's really making a big stick about it? It's okay. But Xbox doesn't have any games. They got 0 games. That's always the comeback. And I have to tell you guys, I mean, I love the console war. I love it because it's entertaining. It definitely keeps all of the manufacturers on their toes. Unless you're Nintendo, and that is not a shot at Nintendo. Nintendo has been doing awesome, and they had some awesome news this week. But Nintendo just does their own thing. But if you're talking about, Microsoft and Sony, they both keep each other on their toes, and like Cody said, it's about the money too, man. I mean, look, the old way was licensing out the platform. That made the money. Having tons of games, that made the money. But, it's always going to change. That's what I got from this email, Cody. I could be totally on the left side, and tell me if I was, brother, with another email. But, yeah, goalposts will be moved consistently. But Cody, I truly thank you for the email, brother. I hope that, it was something else you sent me as well, and I did check it out. It was a YouTube video, I believe, talking about the PlayStation 4 Pro was a half-step measure. And, man, I mean, look, I'm not going to get into that, brother, but I felt it. I understood it, and I have to say, I hear you, brother. I hear you. Definitely, if you guys are interested in that, it's definitely a YouTube video out there talking about that. The PlayStation 4 Pro being a half-measured system when you compare it to the Xbox One X. But, guys, I love all the consoles, but my preference definitely is the Xbox brand. I'm going to stick by that, and that's just what it is. But I own all 3 consoles, But, Cody, I'm rambling on this, brother, but thank you so much for this email. Greatly, greatly appreciated, brother. Now, I gotta let you guys know something. I actually want to update you guys. I left off one console last week that I actually received. Shout out to Renee for doing this. She also got me a Panasonic 3DO in the box. In the box, brother. Not brand new, but good gosh, it looks brand spanking new. It came with the plastic wrapped over the system, over the cords. It came with Gex. You guys remember that game with the Geico character? I got that. Box is in pristine condition. The console is in amazing condition. I mean, man, I have just, brother, a lot of my gaming dreams have already come true. I mean, so many of these consoles growing up as a kid, my parents couldn't buy all of these. I mean, the 3DO, y'all remember that came out in what was that, like 93, 94, somewhere around there? That console was like $500 or $600. Back in 93 and 94. It was no way the Mitchell family was going to have that cost of a console in the house. Well, I should say a console that costs that much in the house. That wasn't going to happen. But I just wanted to, shout out to Renee for making that happen, and excuse me for the cold, but greatly appreciate that. So, with that being said, this week I really didn't get into anything. The job has had me running. I got to go in tonight. Got to be in at midnight, going down to Norfolk, Virginia. So I'll be down there delivering some freight, and, unfortunately just wasn't able to pick up anything. But with that being said, because Mario, now, let me clarify this. Mario, I couldn't even get it. I couldn't get it. I got back off of my trip on Saturday, and we hit the ground running. We had a few errands, quite a bit of stuff to do on Saturday, so I didn't even get a chance to go to Best Buy to pick up Mario Odyssey, which sucks because I really wanted to play that game, but life happens, people. Oh, man. But anyway, I have rambled on about that long enough. So, guys, let's go ahead and get into what we all come here for, baby. And that is the gaming news. Dun, 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 dun. That went down. Let's get into it. Now, Nintendo, God dog it, man. Got a couple of things on them. But let's start it out with Nintendo. Now, Nintendo news, it looks like Ubisoft, that's right, Ubisoft, may have something brewing on the console via a tweet from one of the employees at the Montreal studio. Now, he said this, and I quote, "Something will happen in some days. Please be sure to be ready for that. Hashtag Nintendo." Now, that's the end of the quote, of course, but some people, I thought maybe Assassin's Creed, maybe another Rayman or something like that, but some people, heck, maybe The Division. I might be reaching real hard on that one, but some people are actually speculating that this could just be the snowboarding game Steep. So I would definitely recommend just keeping, your expectations in check as far as this goes. But hopefully in the next few days, we'll find out more information about this so-called project that's supposed to be coming up with Ubisoft and Nintendo. Because they did hit us with the greatness on that Mario Rabbids. From what I heard, that game was amazing. So we'll see what happens, though. Moving on. Now, this is on a side note. Not really going to get into any details because there's not really much to talk about here. But for people that actually own Assassin's Creed Origins, the add-on, the Hidden Ones, was actually released a week early of its January 23rd release. So if you guys didn't know that, it is out there right now. Pick it up, enjoy it, and love it. Moving on into, some of this Nintendo greatness, brother. Oh my goodness. It's like I say, Nintendo is the Disney of gaming. Now listen to this story, man. Nintendo, they keep thinking outside the box. And I mean literally this time with their announcement of Nintendo Labo, which uses cardboard. This is crazy. Cardboard component pieces to allow people to build a range of different creations and play with them using the console to power games that interact with the components. Now, they showed a person interacting. Now, this is crazy. They showed this person or people interacting with a cardboard piano. And when they hit the key, it actually went boom, 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 made the actual sound. They had them playing with a cardboard robot. One person even had, and this really blew me the heck away. This blew my whole sock off. They had one person with a cardboard jetpack on his back that interacted with the robot that was actually on the screen. Now, God, dog, this is amazing, but it's a little bit more information before I go into my thoughts. Now this will be available in a variety kit and a robot kit. Now, the variety kit actually has a few things in it. That's going to have the piano. It's going to have some kind of robot. You put the Switch controllers on to make it move. And God, dog, it just looks awesome. And the robot kit, that's the actual one where you put the backpack on. It has these straps that attach to your feet and your hands. Actually, the strap goes from your feet to your hands. And when you actually punch out, it actually registers it on the game. So, I mean, it just looks awesome, man. Now, this kit is actually going to be available on April 20th of this year. And the price is actually going to start at $69.99. And now this is also something else I want to let you guys know too. Now, according to IGN France, Nintendo plans to offer the cardboard designs for free, but you will need to buy the cartridge in order for it to work. Now, I'm not gonna, I'm trying not to be as long-winded on the podcast, trying to keep it at an hour. But I gotta say, man, Nintendo, God, dog, who saw this coming? I mean, some of these examples, and we know that, when they show these things, they always, not always, but a lot of the time they don't quite work the way that they're advertised. I mean, we can go back to the Kinect and think about Milo when they actually showed the paper and putting the paper in front of the Kinect and it went into the actual virtual world and he was able to read it. We know that sometimes, they add a little bit of spin on it to make it look greater than what it is. So I'm kind of expecting a little bit of that, but I am very, very hopeful that for the most part, these things will work as advertised. I mean, I know they said that Nintendo is actually trying to market this towards kids and people who are kids at heart. And that is definitely me. I was very excited to see that fishing rod when he was fishing, and you could see on the Switch screen that it was actually interacting. And of course, that could have been staged. I mean, we know how this goes, but I have to give Nintendo kudos. This is great news. This is awesome innovation. I've said it the whole time. Even though I've had my gripes with Nintendo in the past, I've always said that Nintendo are the kings of innovation. And like I said, again, they are the Disney of gaming. It's something about Nintendo. They just bring some kind of magic, sometimes to what they do. And I also call them the Disney company, because they actually make things that cater to the children or the younger crowd. But I just have to say, I'm going on about this too much, but this is excellent. I can't wait to try this out and see if it really will live up to the hype. I mean, they had one. I just have to say this. If you have not seen this video, please go see it. They had two of the controllers actually on something that looked like a bike. Okay, a cardboard, what do you call them? Handlebars. And he was actually pulling the throttle on the bike, and it was making the car or whatever it was move faster. At least it was supposed to do that. So I'm excited about this, man. We'll definitely see how this turns out in the future, and we won't have to wait long. Nintendo, you're doing great. I've talked about this too long. Moving on into some Sega news, though. Sega, now this is really cool. Sega is bringing back a classic game to the arcade scene that we haven't seen in almost 10 years. Now, do you guys want to take a guess what this could possibly be? You might have guessed right. Now, this is according to Nightmare on Film Street. That's different. House of the Dead, Scarlet Dawn has been officially announced, and a preview gaming session will take place in Tokyo this month. Now, the only thing is, there actually is no word when it could come stateside, but I'm sure with places like Dave & Buster's that have a big arcade presence, I'm sure that this thing will end up there eventually. And hopefully, I mean, my biggest hope is that it actually comes to the console space. I gotta be honest, I don't know if we've had a light gun this generation. I think the closest thing we've had is maybe the PlayStation VR controllers that aim at the screen. So, I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe Sega can bundle in a gun with the game and it'll come to the consoles. I would love to see, or I should say play, another House of the Dead. I haven't played one since the Dreamcast era. So this is great news. This is awesome. Moving on to the next story. Now, it's been a few years since we've seen an Aliens game, and we know Alien Isolation, it didn't really get a grand, open-armed welcome. You know, people said it was too long. Some people said it was too difficult. It just wasn't the Aliens game that a lot of people wanted, even though people did say some positive things about it, saying that it was scary. It gave you a certain atmosphere. So it wasn't all bad. But, since we haven't heard anything since then, that actually is changing. It's been actually reported that Fox Next Games are working on a new Alien game, teaming up with developers Cold Iron Studios. Now, there isn't much information on this title other than it being a AAA shooter for console and PC. Now, this is interesting because Sega, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I do not know everything, but I believe Sega was behind the last one or one of them, and it just didn't, like I said, it didn't do too well, but hopefully this one, it'll toe the mark. They have a new developer on board. Hopefully they take it in a different direction, and hopefully this turns out great. Moving on to some Microsoft news, or I should say some Xbox news. There have been 3 games added to the Xbox One backwards compatibility list. Now, they are Far Cry 2, Sniper Elite V2, and Driver San Francisco. Driver was actually kind of cool, man. I kind of like that. But there's not much more to say about this story. If you have those games, pop them in and enjoy yourself. Moving on to some more news. Now, this is interesting to me because I actually enjoyed this game. Now, according to GameStop's listing, Red Faction Guerrilla is headed to the PlayStation 4. Now, the title was seen on the websites of multiple European branches. However, there is no release date. Now, THQ Nordic has actually done remasters in the past. I mean, we know they've done Saints Row was on the 360. They took it over to the PS4 and the Xbox One, so, I mean, this is possible. But once again, I want to let you guys know, none of this is confirmed. I got to tell you, Red Faction was awesome. I thought that game, I had Red Faction Guerrilla, and I also got Red Faction Armageddon. I thought both of those games were great. And the thing that I loved about them was the destructible environments, just destruction everywhere. Just great. I really thought that mechanic was going to become something that was going to be normal in games, just a regular thing. I mean, Just Cause 3 took a shot at it, and you guys know I don't like to diss games, man. I don't like to be negative, but God, dog, that game was trying, man. The frame rate was, God, dog. Game was just trying, brother. It was trying to do some good things, but nah, that's one of the only games I actually traded in. And I never trade games in, but that didn't do it for me. But anyway, hopefully Red Faction Guerrilla, this will come to the PlayStation 4. They'll remaster it, make it better, buff up that destructibility, and we'll get a great game, hopefully. But moving on into some more news. Now, this is very interesting, I gotta say, because this said a couple of things to me when I was reading it, and I'll break that down in a second. But In an interview with Game Informer, Cory Barlog actually mentioned that at one point, this is so cool too, at one point, the new God of War could have taken a turn to Egyptian mythology, but decided not to. Now, this is actually the quote from Mr. Cory Barlog. He says, "Look, man, Assassin's Creed Osiris, which was the code name at the time, they're going to come out right when we come out. I don't want to have two Armageddon / Deep Impact Egyptian mythology games." End of quote. Now, also, Barlog mentioned, and this is another quote that he said, it was very divided. That he's talking about the team because at the time, and excuse me, guys, man, bad cold. At the time, half of the team wanted to do the Egyptian mythology. The other half of the team wanted to do Norse mythology. So this is what he's talking about, it being a divide. So here we go. Let me continue. He says, it was very divided. I finally just had to write up a document on why we were going to go with this one and why the next one, now this is interesting. He says on why the next one is something that we might explore a little bit later. End of quote. So here, this told me two very, very interesting things. One, other studios definitely know what other studios are working on, which could impact, which way or art direction a game goes. I thought that was so interesting. And I know some of you guys are probably saying, that's just common sense, Kiaun. But I truly, truly thought that when you're working on a project, your competition or other studios don't know about it. But I guess people know people, and maybe people have loose lips and things slip every, once in a while. But that said that to me. And the second thing it said is this game isn't that far off, because what did Assassin's Creed come out in November? There are still rumors that, God of War is going to come out in March, which is give or take 4 months later than Assassin's Creed. And also to add, they actually showed a collector's edition today that, it had Kratos, it had his son, it had 2 other figures in the box. I mean, they already showed it. So that says right there that the game has to be coming out very, very soon. But the other thing I found interesting about this as well, and I'm about to wrap this up because I'm being long-winded, but this could possibly mean in the future, maybe a God of War may explore some Egyptian mythology, which would be amazing. Could you imagine Kratos going through the sands of Egypt, or, I don't know if he'd be climbing any pyramids. I'm not saying that's something that Kratos does, but going into the tombs and, just exploring this lush land, I think it could be amazing. But I just thought that was very interesting that he mentioned that, and maybe that could be a snippet, like I said, of where God of War could go in the future. Moving on, now this is just a quick side note story. No need to really get into a lot of details about it, but I thought it was pretty cool. Heavy Rain, which you guys, I loved Heavy Rain. Some people knocked it, said it was just a storybook. Some people said it was a Telltale game. I'm like, whoa, the disrespect, good gracious. I thought Heavy Rain was amazing. It's one of the few games that I actually played like 3 times over to get the different endings. But anyway, enough of that. This game has actually sold 5.3 million copies since it released in 2010. Now, I'm sure that this number actually accounts for both the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 version. And if you're wondering where this number came from, this number actually came from The Workplace, which, hey, man, from what I hear, is looking kind of crazy over there at Quantic Dreams, man. A lot of racial slurs, a lot of, homophobic behavior going on, swastikas and all kind. Hey, man, look, brother, I ain't gonna get into that, but man, clean that stuff up over there, y'all. Go ahead and make the darn game, make Detroit, make it great, and whatever, man. Just clean it up a little bit. I mean, come on, Cage, get it together, buddy. But moving on into some more news, god darn. Now, at this point, we have heard nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing about Shenmue since August when a new trailer was shown. And I mean, I'm still pulling at straws, with this, because the only thing, and this just happened today, I just saw this today. They had 3 screenshots of the game. Now, 2 of the pictures showed off the environments, and the other showed Ryu and Ling together. Now, I'm being completely honest with y'all, the only reason, and I'm serious, the only reason why I'm bringing this up is just to say that the game still exists. And I mean, I have to admit, if the screenshots that they showed were actually in real time, I mean, it looks impressive. It looks like it could be promising. I was a Shenmue fan. I played Shenmue 1 on the Dreamcast, beat it, bought Shenmue 2 on the Xbox, got stuck at that freaking tree, couldn't kick it and catch the leaf in my goddamn hand. It kept slipping. I said, bump this mother-loving game. I'm out of here. But I'm looking forward to 3. Hopefully it's great. I hope so. But in case you didn't know, I thought this was interesting as well. The game is actually being published by Deep Silver. Very, very interesting. I tell you, I thought later on down the line, maybe around this time, that we were going to find out that Sony was actually backing this project. But it turns out they really were not. So we'll see. Deep Silver is out there ready to publish it and get it in. Of course, that's the same studio behind Saints Row, I believe. Is that Deep Silver? Saints Row, I think they bought that property. I don't know. I think that might be THQ Nordic. Who knows? This stuff starts running together. But moving on. Oh, really quick. For the environment pictures that were shown, they actually showed a city area, and the other one showed some boats at a pier. And the game actually raked in, which was very, very, it actually broke a record on, Kickstarter. It raked in $6.3 million to get development started. So please, I'm hoping this game comes out this year like they say, but we shall see. Now, moving on into some Rocksteady news. This is another interesting story. Now, Rocksteady, they've been pretty quiet. I mean, really quiet as well lately since they wrapped up on the Arkham trilogy. But they did, and this is interesting. It's not a lot here. I don't want to hype it up and make it like it's something gigantic. All we can do is speculate at this point. But they did post a picture on Twitter saying, and I quote, Rocksteady's unofficial mocap support crew, fresh from a test shoot, end of quote. Now, this is the thing. Now, the picture does show 7 guys and a woman. Now, the first thing that came to my mind was, could this possibly be a Justice League game? Now, I know you're probably saying, wait a minute, if you said, 8 people in total, that doesn't add up. I know, I understand. Justice League only has 7 characters. I get that. It's only 7 characters in the group. But what if, and I'm gonna pull at the thin air on this one. I have nothing to stand on with this theory. But what if one of the people were playing the part of a villain? Maybe he was playing, I don't know who the heck, I don't know who's even in that universe at this moment. I haven't read comic books in so long, but maybe he was just playing the part of a villain. And I mean, maybe that was it. I mean, could you imagine a Justice League game being done by Rocksteady? Rocksteady, I know a lot of people did not like Arkham Knight. They thought the Batmobile was way too much, and I darn sure agree. I thought it was way, way overdone. But the story, the graphics, the gameplay, the fighting mechanics, that was a tremendous game. To me, the best superhero game I've played. A lot of you guys may not agree with that, and I understand that is your opinion. I get that. But to me, that game was, bar none, best superhero game I had ever played. So, Rocksteady, I'm saying all of this to say Rocksteady, in my opinion, has a darn near flawless record. I mean, man, having access to, who is it? Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. I mean, they could make this where they could split up the stages and certain superheroes are used for certain parts of the game. And what if they made it where it was co-op? 7-player co-op. Everybody has a job. You know, this person has to do this person has to do that. I think that would be incredible. I know a lot of people were hoping for a Superman game. I was hoping for that too, because in my mind, I always thought that if a studio was going to do Superman, Rocksteady would probably be the one to get it correct. But even I have to say, I don't know. That may be a bigger, too big of a task for Rocksteady to even handle. Because Superman he's darn near invincible. I mean, you got to put Kryptonite in there. I mean, all I got to say is 2 titles, man. Superman on the 360 and Superman on the N64. I mean, god darn. Wow. I mean, even back then, even though they might not have been as polished, even Batman games got some good reviews back then. Some of them did. Some of them were really not that bad. They were kind of good Batman games back then. You name one good Superman game outside of the arcade version that was back in like 89 or 91. I don't know, brother, but we'll see what happens with this. Let's move on, guys. Now, let's get into some Take-Two news. Now, of course, you guys know Take-Two is the parent company over Rockstar Games. So, here we go. Now, it looks like they have actually renewed the trademark for the Manhunt franchise. Manhunt, yes, indeed. Now, who knows? I mean, here we go again, more speculation. Who knows, what this could mean. Could mean something awesome. Maybe a new one is coming out. But I also do want to point out that this isn't technically new news, because they filed the trademark, come to find out, back in 2016, but only recently the filing was revealed to the public. So we're talking roughly going on 2 years now that this has happened. And, this happens for a number of reasons. I mean, yeah, it would be cool if another Manhunt was actually in development, but I don't know. I don't know about that. This could mean that they just want to hold on to the name and make sure nobody else can get it, just to make sure that it's locked up, it's sealed, nobody can touch that. And I think that the document said that it was going to be locked up for like the next 20 years or something, so they wouldn't have to worry about filing another, a trademark for quite some time. So it would be nice to see another one. I'm sure Rockstar is putting the finishing touches on Red Dead Redemption 2 that's going to be out later on this year, but we'll see what happens with this. I thought that, just talking about this trademark business really quickly, I thought that Capcom game, Deep Down, since that had got trademarked twice, since I've been doing the podcast, that game has got trademarked twice, and it's still nothing to show. So that's why I'm like, I wouldn't get so excited, but maybe they may do something with the Manhunt. Who knows, man? I mean, move on, man. All right. Now, This is interesting. Not really, but it's kind of cool. In Spider-Man news, Insomniac Games community director James Stevenson has taken to a form called Reset Era to reiterate that Spider-Man will release this year on the PlayStation 4. Now, it was also reported that the studio recently held a studio-wide play session which lasted a few days. Now, some people had asked, would there be a special edition PlayStation 4 hardware bundle when this game comes out? Now, all James said to that is, stay tuned. And I quote, stay tuned. So, to me, this looks like, I believe months ago, God of War, they said that it was in a playable state from start to finish. People thought that might have came out by now, but that didn't happen. So Spider-Man, once again, it looks like that's in the same boat that, they're able to play through it. The development team has, gone through it and did their thing. Hopefully it's fully playable. The last thing I did hear, and I actually didn't write this down, but the community guy, I hate to call him the community guy, but the community director, James Stevenson, did say that they're actually working on the artwork, the box artwork as it stands right now. So who knows? Maybe this game could come out in the summer. You never know, because Sony has quite a few big hitters that are supposed to come out this year. I mean, you have, like we just talked about, God of War. You have Detroit, you have Spider-Man, and also, I didn't write this down, but Days Gone, they actually doubled down and are saying, and this is, not 100% confirmed, but they're just saying that the game is going to see a 2018 release. I don't know if that's fact. I don't know if, it's false, but that's what they're saying. So you got several AAA titles that could come out from Sony this year. Of course, you gotta space these out. You got God of War possibly coming out in March. I would think that the next logical game would be Detroit. Maybe put that in, June, maybe in the slower months, so it can move some sales and get some traction. And then maybe in September, maybe you release Spider-Man, and at the end of the year, that's when you release Days Gone. I mean, that's just me speculating. I mean, I could be, like I said, totally far left on that, but that's what I think. But who knows? We'll see in the upcoming months. Now, this is a big one, brother, and I am so excited about this. Let's get into some Cyberpunk 2077 news, man. Now, according to a Polish gaming site named Gry Online, it's spelled Gry, Gry Online, they said that they actually got this from two sources that have revealed to them that CD Projekt Red's next huge project will have a gameplay demo at this year's E3. And they also said that it could appear on either Microsoft stage, and this is a no-brainer at this point. I mean, I don't even know why I added this in there. But it is important, though, because they said it could appear on Sony stage or Microsoft stage. Now, we know that's always a toss-up at E3. Somebody's got to get it. Somebody wants to show it on the stage. Now, in the past, Microsoft seems to have had a closer relationship with CD Projekt Red. I mean, The Witcher 3, that was shown on their stage. Gwent, that was another game shown on their stage. Who knows? How big would it be for Microsoft? Now, exclusive rights, people are saying that Microsoft will get exclusive rights. I highly doubt that they'll have the game exclusive to the Xbox platform. However, maybe, just maybe, they could get some exclusive DLC for a time period. and maybe that can shift some traffic over. I mean, you got to think about it like this as well, guys. Microsoft has the most powerful console right now. What better place to show off your new next big game than on the Xbox One X, where you will be able to pull all kinds of extra power out of it to make your game look stunning. I really think that, Microsoft may get it. Of course, money talks. It doesn't matter. It's all about the money. This is a business, and I know that, and I respect it. But just looking at it from the art side, from a person wanting to show you their true vision of what they've wanted to do with the game, I would think that CD Projekt Red would want to show that off on the Xbox One X. E3, like I said, it's 5 months away. We shouldn't even really be talking about it, but so much news has been coming out about Microsoft, having all of these different IPs, and they're supposed to be shown at E3. God dog, we just are getting into the midway point of January, and E3 is already a thing. But anyway, I thought this was awesome news. I'm very excited, to see if this is true. This is not, and I gotta say it, and I hate to be, a little bit of a downer, but I want to believe it. But it hasn't been 100% confirmed from CD Projekt Red. So we'll see, man. But anyway, let's move on to the last story of the week. Now, it looks like the Fable rumors. This was a lot of rumors this week, actually. But it looks like the Fable rumors are true, according to Eurogamer. It's also looking like Playground Games are going to be the ones developing the new Fable game, which when I first heard Playground Games would be in charge of a Fable game, I said, WTF, man, what the frick are you talking about? They make racing games. But then I remembered some time back, quite a few months ago, weren't they hiring for a new IP that they were working on, an IP that would be new to them? It's looking like it's true. Now, I don't know how far into development this game is, this Fable game, but I am very, very happy to see Microsoft pulling from some of their old IPs. Fable, Joanna Dark, meaning Perfect Dark. I don't know, they might pull Cameo out. They might pull Battletoads out. Microsoft, people don't know this. And I hate to sound like such a freaking fan of Microsoft, but I really like Microsoft, but I hate to sound like such a fan waving the Microsoft flag. But I'm just saying that they have so many IPs. They have a lot of intellectual properties that people don't even think about. They have Conker. People forget they got Conker. That's another platforming character they have. They have plenty of characters to go around. So hopefully they'll use some of these IPs, bring back some fan favorites. I really hope, man. If you could just give me a Quantum Break 2, just give me a Quantum Break 2, give me a Rise 2, and give me a Sunset Overdrive 2. I would really be happy about that, Microsoft. And I know everybody on the PlayStation side, the Nintendo side, they always say, that's all you Xbox dudes talk about, those 3 games, like in the barbershop on Coming to America. That's day one. Rocky Marciano. Anyway, I'm just saying, those 3 games were really good, man. Yeah, they could have used a little bit of work. Yeah, I'm not saying Quantum Break was great. I told you guys I gave it an 8. It was giving me some problems with that daggone kick button, man. Him always wanting to kick stuff. I mean, it wasn't perfect. Rise, it was a short game, but it was fun. I liked the story. Graphically, it was great. Sunset Overdrive had amazing weapons. It was colorful. Gameplay was nice. Took about 2 hours for me to really get into it and appreciate it, but all of those things can be fixed with a sequel. That is the whole point of a sequel. You know, I'm hoping, man, bring back Knights of the Old Republic. I mean, I know Disney wants everything to be canon and, you know, go with the lore of the movies, but god dang, man, you can work something in there. I mean, man, Microsoft, just get on it, man. Get on it. Look, listen, guys. That is it for the gaming news this week. God dog, I rambled on about that, but pumped up about it, man. But you guys stay tuned, because we will be getting into the question of the week right after this week's video game theater. Stay tuned, guys.
My Ultra, all preparations have been made.
Where are Radek and Star?
The package is ready.
Father.
My people, sons and daughters of Helgan, on this day, as our enemy ships burn away in orbit, as their bodies lie broken in our streets, we are once again reminded of the depths of their depravity. For years we have suffered unbearable hardships, banished by our enemies to die from disease, from famine. They scarred us, they weakened us, but that time has passed. For years we worked away on empty stomachs, slowly rebuilding our strength, our pride, and our nation. But that time has passed. All these years I have been humbled by the honor to lead you ever onwards, from this day till the end of days.
And welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Now, of course, we're in the last section of the podcast where, as I alluded to earlier, I asked you guys a question and hopefully you guys answer back. Now, the question this week I wanted to ask you guys is, will the PlayStation 4 outsell the PlayStation 2? Now, I know this is an uphill battle. I know PS2 is one of the absolute best selling consoles in history, actually topping out at 158 million units sold from the year 2000 to 2013. Now, if you do the math, god dog, 13 years, I ain't doing that math. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to break down each unit because I wasn't prepared for all of that. But if you look at the PlayStation 4 in a 4-year span has sold 74 million units in 4 years. You figure it's pretty much halfway there to where the PlayStation 2, it took 13 years for that to happen. You figure over the holiday season, PlayStation 4 sold over 5 million units between November and December. That many units having the lineup that it has coming out this year. Hey, look, man, it's at least, let's just say, I mean, a lot of people are saying the next PlayStation is coming out in 2020 or 2019. That seems to be the talk. I don't know how true that is, but what I will say is the PlayStation is on a roll right now. I think I'll say it will tie. It may beat it. I'm really leaning towards it beating the PlayStation 2's numbers. But this is where you guys come into play. What do you think? Do you think the PlayStation 4 will outsell the PlayStation 2? Once again, you can call in at 443-261-4607 and leave your answer, or you can email the show at the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. Guys, game players, as I say every week, truly want to thank you guys for spending this time with me, supporting the show, and just hanging out. Really appreciate that, guys. But don't worry, it's not over, because we will be back next week. But until then, guys, remember this. It's not about the consoles. It's about the games. You guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.